All right. Good afternoon. Hope all's well. This is Coach DP. Hey, I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about calling the enemy agent or calling the enemy agent's company, I should say, because you never want to call the agent, in a transaction. And so calling the company or whoever policy was written for. So, for example, I sit down with a client and I have State Farm is basically the company that the client went with. I'm going to call the 800 number, the customer service 800 number for State Farm. Okay, I'm never going to call the agent themselves or the personal agent because that just creates a agent confrontation. You're not going to win that battle. You're not going to advocate your product over that person's product. So I've been in many of those instances that doesn't work favorably. But this is just basically to contact the company, okay, so you can get the information necessary to help a client switch over or do some of the things that you need to do in order to generate that business. So just a couple things on what I really want to really go take away from this interaction here. Calling again the insurance company, very, very key. Or it could be if you're working with an investment, you call in the investment company. So the very first thing we always want to do is we want to do a three-way call with the client on the line. Why is that important? Well, no company is going to give any pertinent private information before they speak with their client. So you want to prep the client ahead of time. You want to just, hey, so if I'm sitting with Jan and Jan has, a service through another company, I'm going to say, hey, Jan, I understand you don't have a copy of your policy. Um, we need to call that company so we can get the information from them. It'll probably take weeks, if not months, to get a copy of the policy. So you don't want to wait on that. You don't want the client to say, "Oh, I got to get a copy of it and I'll get back to you in the next, couple days." That's a bunch of bull. That ain't happening. I know with Primerica, it takes them a long time to send out a copy, to the client. So you want to call the company with the client, on the line. So you want to prep them. So, hey, Jan, we're going to call your company. I want you to be on the line because at least we can clarify what exactly you have, before we move ahead. And that's fine. So just, I'll tell them that companies, they train their agents or the customer service people how to overcome like enemy agents or other agents. So I'm just gonna come across as only I'm your brother. So you can just basically, when I get on the call, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, I'm your brother, and pretty much they're gonna ask if you give permission to speak with your brother. Second thing, you want to call, as I just conveyed, brother or sister, because companies, again, they train their people against, agents. So I've always made it very subtle in terms of that process. Thirdly, you want to get information about the client's policy. Well, what type of information? You just don't want to jump on there and say, hey, I know you got a whole life. Why did you sell her this? No, we don't want to do that. But we do want to find out how much premium. Okay. So what's the monthly premium you're paying a month, for this plan? If you've been selling life insurance through Primerica for some time, you probably have figured out and identified based on a person's age, how much coverage they say. Like if I just met you and you say, hey, I'm 32 years old, I'm paying $250 a month for my life insurance policy. Right away, I'm thinking you must have whole life. That's a lot of money for you know a an okay amount of insurance. Okay, so you can kind of figure those things out along the way. So you want to find out what's the premium, what's the monthly premium they're paying, what's the face amount. Okay, so the agent will jump on the line or the customer service person will jump on the line. Sometimes I'll speak on that person's behalf, depending on the type of client I'm dealing with. So if I'm dealing with a client who's really, they're not very articulate, they can't really get stuff out, I'll take him and I'll say, hey, listen, my name's Derek, Parker. I got my sister here. She's calling in about our plan. She just needs to know some basic information. Can you help us out? And they'll say, yeah. And they'll say, can you get your sister on the line? And let's just say again, my is Miss Johnson. So Miss Johnson jumps on, she's on the call already. I'll say, yeah, she's here. And they'll ask her, Okay, Miss Johnson, we just need to verify your birthday, your social security, whatever. And then do you give permission to speak on behalf of your plan with Derek Parker? And they'll say, yeah. So then I'm going to take it away and I'm going to start asking some of these questions as I just alluded to. What's the premium? What's the face amount? I want to know the cash value or the cash surrender value. Okay. So I want to know what if she surrendered this policy, how much money would they be giving her to walk away from this policy? So the reason why I want this stuff is not just for me. I want the client to cringe. I want them to hear that they only got $10,000 in their policy, and they were told it's going to be 100,000. I want them to feel it. I want them to hear that. Yeah, you're only going to get back $3,000 if you surrender the policy. So these kind of things are going to disturb the client, and I want them to hear that. So I'm going to ask these questions: premium, face amount, what's the cash value or cash surrender value, and then lastly, I'm going to ask them, how long have they had the plan? So how long has Miss Johnson had this plan here? Okay, and 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 again, I'm coming across as a brother, so I may say something like this. Um, I'm just curious. My sister wants to know if she surrendered this policy, how much money would she get back? Well, they just told her that the cash surrender value, but I want to know verbatim. And they're gonna look at their screen on the other end, and they're gonna tell her exactly how much she's gonna get back, and she's gonna cringe. See those wolf horns going up. You can see things happening. You want to know that, right? So making a call to the insurance company is very, very simplified. You just want to get good at doing that. Don't trust the fact that people say, I'll get back to you with my policy. I'm waiting for it to come. It ain't happening, right? You'll be waiting until the cows come home. But your job, lastly, is not to close the client right there, but gather as much information as possible. Like I want to get as much information as I possibly can. If I have to call the other insurance company, because I'm going to use that to my advantage to build a case or for closing the plan. So the next thing I want to do is I want to debrief with the clients. When I hang up from the insurance company, I'm gonna say to like Miss Johnson, I'm gonna say, Miss Johnson, how do you feel about all you just made? And Miss Johnson's gonna be, oh my God, she's gonna, I've had people say, let's change this thing right now. I'm pissed off at them. I need to call my agent. They're gonna say all kind of things, right? Sometimes, they'll say, hey, I need to get my agent on and ask him or her before I move ahead. And I'll the way I address that or overcome that objection is I'll say, Miss Johnson, let me ask you, if you went to the dentist and the dentist pulled the wrong tooth, would you go back? No, no, no way. I would never go back. So you want to make that clear to her. Hey, the other agent is not going to do anything. What you just learned right there, that's the truth. That's the facts. That doesn't lie. They're not gonna have one screen or one piece of information, and then the agent's gonna have something different. And sometimes people just want to have a coming to Jesus talk with the agent or whatever. That's okay. But you want to summarize also what you're going to do right away or to move forward. Like for example, I'll say, hey, Miss Johnson, we got all our facts right here. Your company over here is charging you $300 a month. We're Primerica, you can get the same amount of coverage for $100 a month. Doesn't that make sense to go ahead? Is there anything that would that could dispute or refute anything that you just heard? No. And she's ready. So as it says, lastly, close, close, close. That call is compelling. I've gotten a lot of facts. I've closed a lot of people from calling insurance companies and getting the information that I need in order to help a client move ahead. And you just got to get good at this in your business because it's going to help you close a lot of business. So just in summary, guys, hey, get good at calling the client. Clients typically love to deal with people who know what to do, who know they have the solutions. You always want to be in control as the agent. So control calling the company, control when you're going to do it. Just keep in mind when you do call companies, usually you have to do it between business hours, between 9 a.m. and usually 5 a.m. or 6, p.m. Just depends on where they're at. So if they're on East Coast time, hey, you got a little bit of, time because we're on East Coast time right here. If you're calling West Coast, maybe a 2, 3 hour delay. So you got a little bit to your advantage. But just understand that sometimes I have to be strategic at calling the other company while the client is at lunch. So sometimes I'll set a time. I'll say, hey, look, you know what? You work every day from 9 to 6. Can we take like 10 minutes during your lunch hour and call? And they'll say, yeah, we call them my lunch. And you make that call with them on lunchtime, guys. And then set a time to meet with them later on that evening, right after you've made the call, to kind of debrief, as I mentioned. So hope that helps, guys. Let's go make it happen, man. Go, go, go. God bless.